and we will continue to monitor the situation.
Okay, we take you now to live developments. Police Minister Feroz Kachalia briefing the media. Let's listen in.
To reject violence, uphold the rule of law, uphold the dignity of all the people who are in our country, and work with law enforcement in maintaining stability. To those who may be contemplating acts of lawlessness, our message is clear and unequivocal. The full might of the law will be brought to bear to deal decisively with those who seek to undermine the safety, security of our people and our constitutional republic. Thank you very much. We're now ready to take any questions. Thank you.
For hijacking the program, Minister, can we have a few words from Minister?
Okay.
Please?
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Mr.
Sorry.
No, thank you very much for the opportunity. As agreed, I am accompanying my colleague. As defense, we really were getting reports of we can also begin to try and plan our measures if need be. As in public order, the police. So it's to really hear how far they are. Our role as defense is around your key points, your airports, so that's why we need to know in terms of applications if there are going to be incidents around key points, your power stations, and that's the only role. And we hope it's not going to be a point. Called upon police to support. Basically, ours is really on key points and not part of public. I'm really here just to get the latest. But I'm also here in my capacity as part of the JCPS, not only as defense. I'm part of the JCPS, I'm part of the Migration Committee, and not necessarily as defense, because we have a very limited role in this area. Thank you very much.
I am told that we do have a few words from the Acting National Commissioner, so I will give her a chance just to speak.
Thank you, ministers and senior officers. A few words in relation to for the 30th of June demonstrations. Members of the media, we want to indicate that our intelligence and operational assessments continue to guide our planning. We are monitoring the situation on a daily basis and remain in close contact with all relevant stakeholders. The South African Police Service fully recognizes and respects the constitutional rights of every person to assemble, demonstrate themselves peacefully. Our expectations is that those participating in these marches or demonstrations will do so within the confines of the law and in accordance with the conditions agreed upon with relevant authorities. We have planned for different scenarios and provide adequate resources across the country. Our members have been instructed to facilitate peaceful protests while taking a firm action against any acts of criminality, violence, intimidation, or damage to property. I urge everyone participating in these marches to reject any attempts by individuals or groups who may seek to exploit legitimate protests to commit criminal acts. On the issue of carrying of weapons, this issue remains a concern. The law is very clear. No person may carry dangerous weapons or firearms where such conduct is prohibited by law or where it is intended to intimidate or threaten others. Been instructed to law without fear or favor. Violations of the law, the necessary action will be taken. Organizers of marches to play their part by discouraging participants from carrying weapons or engaging in conduct that could provoke violence or place others at risk. Our objective is to ensure that every gathering remains peaceful and that everyone returns home safely. I thank you.
Thank you very much, General Gumbani. Just as a measure of reassuring South Africans, we are going to hear this from the chairperson of the NACJOS, General Msikili.
Thank you very much, and greetings to the members of the media and our viewers and listeners at home. The principals around me, I think I'm coming in on the operational space. I am covered by the Acting National Commissioner on the emphasis of our responsibility as the society. I think I need to reiterate on the issues that are intolerable in the space of the joint structure as we are on the ground. That includes and not limited to the areas of our constitution that gives effect to the responsibilities when we exercise our constitutional right, that in the space of what we are doing now in terms of Section 16 of the Constitution, Section 16.1 that allows us to express ourselves, but 16.2 also caution, which is something that we are picking up in terms of incitement to violence, spreading of propaganda, as well as the issues around the incitement to violence that will not be tolerated. So as National Joint Intelligence and Intelligence Structure, we are responsible to ensure that all departments within the Justice Crime Prevention Cluster, together with other stakeholders, are fully coordinated and operationally prepared for any eventuality. Over the past week, our NACJOINTs have convened and operational briefings to address the security environment and ensure that all conditions are in place across our NACJOINTs structures as well as the prof joints. We continue to monitor the situation daily through intelligence and operational reportings. This enables us to identify emerging risks early and adjust our deployments and plans where necessary. Our integrated operational plans has been activated in provinces. It brings together the South African Police Service, all strategic partners, the Metro Police departments of traffic law enforcement, disaster management structures, and all other departments that we deem necessary, and does not exclude other departments that are outside of the joint structure, such as the Department of Home Affairs, departments of education, and so forth. The operational focus is to protect lives, safeguard critical infrastructure, maintain the free movement of people and goods, preserve public order, and to ensure that all communities remain safe during this time. That we can give to South Africans is that they are allowed to march, they are allowed to picket, to assemble. However, that must also go with the people who want to march. There are people who do not want to march or participate. They should be given their constitutional right if they so deem. I thank you.
Thank you very much, General. Colleagues, keeping in mind that we cannot divulge any operational plans or information relating thereto, but also keeping in mind that we are going to have a series of engagements this week, and we will then have a briefing just to, again, reiterate what we have just outlined. I will open it up to questions.
Just introduce themselves.
Go that way. Yes. May I just ask that you introduce yourself, present, but also as to which member of our panel your question is posed.
I just want to pick up on the point you made. First, the first question goes to Acting Minister Kachalia. Then I'll have a question for Minister of Defence. The SAPS has elevated its operational readiness across all provinces. That the seriousness that you're taking the matter. I just wanted to ask, beyond the conversations that you've had with law enforcement, the traditional leadership, is there any other conversations that are taking place, i.e. perhaps the organizers of the marches themselves? And the question to Minister Motshekga, is it safe to then say the SANDF has not been deployed but guard for any eventuality for the protection of the that you speak to? And just lastly, sorry, I just wanted to confirm something, if the panel can confirm that there's an active shooting incident at Nicol Way, which has been confirmed by police. So we just wanted to see if we can get confirmation of that from the acting minister.
Okay. Take the
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Nkosi Kwana Malingamisi from Eyewitness News. Goodness me, where does one begin? Just in terms of point and statements around the voter registration weekend, and I think it's important simply because this is election time, and sometimes you find that that politically active people are killed or attacked at such times. So what are the early indications in terms of investigations telling you about these 4 murders, especially that of the DA councillor in Cape Town? What do we know so far in terms of investigations, if you can divulge that far? But I think it's also just to get you to highlight the message that this is a sensitive time. Will happen. So just on that point, please, if you could also elaborate a bit more on what are the circumstances of the cases of contravening the Electoral Act, what are we dealing with there? The issue around this primarily in terms of June 30th being the mandate of the SAPS in terms of public policing, and the acting minister has said that arises, you will then ask your counterpart to pay some assistance. Does that mean at this stage you are led to believe that there will not be an instance where it will go over and above and essentially overwhelm, perhaps, for lack of a better term, members of the SAPS? The issue around the carrying of weapons and the acting about it, does this also apply to traditional weapons? I think it's very important that we get that sense of clarity. In terms of the deployments, identified where you need to really reinforce. So what I'm getting to here is, are there instances where you are deploying above and beyond what you would on an ordinary day or for an ordinary march or demonstration? If you may allow me, Gabo, just
one more.
Just one more. Thank you for this round. The acting police minister, I think the country has been waiting with bated breath to hear from you in terms of what appears to be the butting of heads by some of your senior police officers. We saw something very concerning play out at Brooklyn Police Station last week, where there was now what we know to have been a warrant of arrest for the crime intelligence and one of his other top executives by And here's my concerning element about this, is that the NPA then tells us that they did not execute those warrants because General Khumalo is involved in the activities in terms of security of June 30th. That gives the impression that certain warrants of arrest can be stayed for certain individuals to allow them to carry out whatever job. Because if it was an ordinary South African, the likelihood is that that warrant would have been executed. So what I'm just really trying to ascertain is what are the developments, what are the circumstances that gave rise to, one, the issuing, and perhaps you can educate us here, who issues a warrant of arrest? Whose responsibility is it to execute that warrant of arrest? And why was that warrant of arrest not executed? And what engagements are you having with General Khumalo, perhaps General Mkhwanazi, and the head of the NPA's IDA? Thank you.
Okay, I think maybe let's park it there for now, because there are a lot of questions that have been posed. We'll come back to take the remaining hands. If I can just ask the ministers to respond to the questions that have been posed, and thereafter we'll move to the National Commissioner. Minister?
Thank you, Karma. To Kara's question, we have been engaging with leaders in civil society, if I can use that broad term. The President met with religious leaders from across the country. I was at that meeting. The President also met with traditional leaders. I think Deputy Minister Bushela was at that meeting. I'm not quite sure which one Minister Motsecha attended. On this weekend, Minister Kubai led a delegation meeting, the Zulu King in KwaZulu-Natal. Those engagements will continue this week. I'm hoping to meet with the business community. They have written a letter of concern to me, engaging with the leadership of the taxi industry is going to be prioritized. General Timpani spoke to that matter. I would make a general observation that I think in this moment, apart from the responsibilities of law enforcement, it's very important for the leaders of our people on the ground, those who play important roles, to step up and to make a clear statement in support of the efforts of the South African Police Service to maintain the safety and security of our people. We should leave no area of uncertainty on this matter. I will make a general point about political killings to reinforce what I said earlier, and then hand over to General Timpani. She and I have been in constant communication over the weekend on each one of the 4 incidents. She will have more updated information on ongoing investigations. The PKTT is involved in the investigation of some of these cases. I don't think we should be thinking about, making a special case of a member of a political party. My concern is concern for all members of all political parties who were brutally murdered. Now, let's just think about that as a society for a moment. We fought for democracy. We live in a situation, and it's been going on for a long time, and then the numbers rise during periods of electoral mobilization, where councillors particularly are targeted and killed because they have dared to put their hands up and say, we want to represent a community, improve service delivery and so forth. It's outrageous. So I can't more strongly on this. The PKTT has had some success in parts of the country. We've established of its work in Gauteng, but unfortunately to occur. And so I have a message not only for the public but for our police service. Those involved targeting those who are wanting to act as our political representatives must be brought to book. Too many of them are escaping justice, continue to escape justice. Makes me angry. So on the specifics, I'm going to ask General Timpani once I've done to give you an update. So what's our general approach to deployment? First of the South African Police Service, and then questions about whether or not and in what situations the Army will be deployed or not. We are not simply deploying on the basis of proven threats. We are deploying on the basis of our goal. The goal is to keep the country safe and secure. So, and it costs a lot of money. The people who are involved in efforts at destabilization should know that. We are deploying on the basis of our responsibility, our constitutional responsibility to keep the country safe. I can tell you that it's going to cost the South African Police Service over 600 million. That's what it costs when there are efforts to destabilize the country. Additional funds. We're making those resources. So this is a special, because on social media and so forth. Intelligence, but we're acting on the basis of what our goal is. It's the same with the question, the army should be deployed or not. We do scenario planning, and we then deploy not on the basis of existing threats. The responsibility of the South African Police Service is to secure the country's infrastructure, the safety and security of its people, and so forth. Now, on the issue of traditional weapons, I understand that in some quarters this may be a sensitive matter. The Constitution is clear. You have the right to assemble peacefully and unarmed. Those who are carrying any weapon, any kind of weapon, are acting illegally. So the police do not always act to disarm people in volatile situations because they act on a risk calculus. Our objective is also to ensure that we do not take action which might result in fatalities and worse. We've had experience of that. But I am saying very clearly to the people out there, those who want to march, General Timpani has indicated they are expected to indicate in advance what their plans are, how many marshals they've employed, and to give a very clear message to their supporters not to arrive and participate in protest action armed, without reservation and without qualification. That's a clear message. I think we have been hesitant for too long to speak clearly on this matter. There's no reason why anybody should come to protest with any kind of instrument which could be used as a weapon. Why do they do that? If what they are doing is they want to bring to the attention of the government and the wider South African population their grievance, and we have said that those grievances are legitimate and that they have a right to express their grievances. We are hearing, we are listening, we are reacting, we are responding. No need to come armed to a protest. On this issue of, I'm on General Kumar. There's been a little bit of misreporting, which I have found a little bit upsetting as the Minister of Police, because IDEC, investigative and prosecutorial, independent of the police. They don't act on my instructions, and they certainly don't instructions of the Minister of Justice either. But I can say that neither the Minister of Justice nor I was informed about what was reported in the newspapers and in the media about planned arrests of General Mkhwanazi. who heads organized crime nationally in South Africa now. He's a provincial commissioner. He heads up organized crime. And General Khumalo, who's heads of crime intelligence. Why IDEC announced, because you, well, anyway, I see that you reported, and then later on there was a report that, that the report was false. So I don't know what the truth is. But those two senior police officers have critical roles in law enforcement. I do expect to be informed when they take action of that nature. We are in a situation where we are trying to deal with whatever might happen in the next week to 10 days or so forth. We have a lot of work to do to fight organized crime. And I think that, that it was important for IDEC, if they were going to take that action, to inform me. And certainly to inform the Minister of Justice as well, or she could have informed me if they informed her. So I didn't receive that news happily, that they were about to arrest these two senior police officers who are needed in the fight against crime, organized crime, and to keep the country safe. Now, that doesn't mean that, that where accountability has to be enforced, that that they should not do so. I'm not you know, advising IDEC, but the way in which that happened was not right. I will be meeting with General Mkhwanazi today, and I think General Khumalo might be there. He had flew there a few days ago, because we are meeting after this to look at our organized crime strategy, what needs to be done and so forth, because we are now moving into phase 2 of the implementation of that strategy. I have said to General Mkhwanazi, I want results in terms of the dismantling of the cartels. And that is the phase we're moving into, and I need him to be focusing on that work. Let me ask General Timpani to deal with the issues around the Electoral Act.
Before we do so, Minister, because I'm mindful of moving the mics a bit too much,
Okay.
so I just wanted for us to get a response from Minister Motshekga, and thereafter take the last two hands before we then move the mics finally to the Acting National Commissioner.
No, thank you very much. I only had one question from you, Ms. Africa. Basically, I think as I had indicated that ourselves as South African National Defence Force have a very limited and restricted role in order or in public order policing. But based on the experience of 2022, there's always, I mean, I think it still is fresh in our minds that there is a need for us as a defense force, as a contingency measure in terms, in case the things just go out of hand. We don't expect that from information that we're getting, and we want to assume that it is going to be orderly marches, but in case things get out of hand, public property gets really vandalized like it happened in KZN, police will invite us to assist, because we can't go there on our own. But also we can only go there on the basis of the papers from the president, to say the president would allow us to go and support police. But in between, as JCPS and as a country, it's to see if we can share resources where we have drones to really add on if there's land water, there are blockages, not as, so really in support in that sense, not in the fight as a defense force, but in terms of sharing resources where we have resources. So we will share resources. So it's important for us to know what the plans are, what the resources are. Then we can go and look at our resources to say, yes, we can share these resources if we have in that area. But for us, more important as the defense force is to really get, because police have got lots of information and reports since it's their area of responsibility. We don't want to go and say stand in preparation at Priska when their information says there's no one's going to go past Priska. So we will be informed by them to say, from our plans and intelligence, these are going to be possible routes. Then we look where the key points are and therefore stand ready in the areas that are areas of our responsibility. And that's why it's important for us to always stand informed about what the plans are, what the information is that they're getting. It helps us also to prepare ourselves for our own responsibility, but also contingency will guide us to say, because they've given us a whole audit of the resources that they will need. And then Defence Force will come back and say, this is where we think the resources we can share with you in the areas where you need. But we have a very limited role, and we hope we will not be invited to get into that space. Yeah, that's why I said deployment is going to be informed by police to say what are the routes, where are the threats, where do we need to stand. Yeah, and conversations, we're talking to everybody, it's part of our conversation. So the Minister has indicated now as GPS, not as defense. So wearing different hats. We have spoken even to the organizers of the march. Those are the first groups. And we continue to engage with them because we accept that indeed they have the right to march, and the issues that they have raised, fortunately, legitimate issues that have to be attended to. I think there's acceptance. It's unlike the 2022 where you don't know what you are dealing with. At least here we know issues have been put on the table, government is responding, so we know what you are dealing with, you are able to respond accordingly. Fortunately, in most instances, the organizers are not faceless people. You know what you are dealing with, so you can engage with people to say, this is far, not far, but you can also have it. So for me, it's a better problem because you know what you are dealing with, and you accept the contents of what is being dealt with. And it's also, in most instances, not faceless people that you don't know what is it that they are after. You know what the issues are, and that's why you can respond.
Thank you very much. Mindful of time, our principals actually have other engagements. I will take the last two hands that were up in the first round. Can we ask that we keep our questions short, and I will also ask our panel to keep the responses short and detailed as possible. We'll start with Mangoba.
Okay, Mangoba from ENCA. Firstly, I'd like to ask the possibly the police, General Security or official plan, just in terms of the police's assessment of what's happening on the ground, the risk assessment, and is there any indication that perhaps we could see some violent scenes emerging on the 30th of June? So what has been the assessment so far? And again, I know the acting minister has spoken about the fact that deployment, you don't really deploy based on the risk. Are there any areas in particular that you are concerned about? I know that in the previous, in 2021, KZN as well as Gauteng, where some of the hotspots where we saw violence. Are you worried in particular about these provinces? And I think the other question the minister has responded on in terms of when the SANDF will be deployed and under which circumstances. But just also maybe to go back to what Stara had asked about the incident, just to get a response on that.
Oh yes, no, we have marked that question. We will get a response. Can we take the next time?
Minister, I think on the 30th you're going to have a few problems because you have been at pains to mention by names the type of weapons that people cannot, because as I'm standing with my phone in my hand, it can be used as a weapon, but it's not a weapon. So for South Africans, can we go to bed tonight knowing what we can and cannot by name? Knobkieries, whips, shamboks, can we get those by name so that even officers don't have issues on the day? And then two, from some of the videos that have circulated, we have seen that police officers don't necessarily stop the violent acts that we've seen. So what is going to happen to police officers that perhaps turn a blind eye, as we have seen in some of the videos? regarding the violence. What is your plan there?
Last hand, and then we get the responses, then we close.
My question is brief. It's for the Minister of Police. There were allegations that people, foreign nationals, are being loaded into buses and dropped out at different venues. That was also raised by Minister Kubai. Is that something that you have been made aware of and are investigating? And then the last one is just clarity on the 600 million that you mentioned. 600 million. Just clarity on that.
Okay, we'll have Minister respond, and thereafter we'll get responses from the Acting National Commissioner as well as Jennifer Musikidi. Minister?
Thank you, Kama. This pen could be a weapon, couldn't it? So there's always a ambiguity about what is a weapon and what isn't a weapon. We have seen many marches in which people are carrying what they call traditional weapons, knobkiri, for instance, spears even. Those are dangerous weapons. And this matter has a long history in South Africa, by the way. I come from the East Rand, and I have strong memories of what happened. Now, we are giving a clear message today that people should participate in protest action unarmed. For those who don't have any intentions otherwise.
There you have it, those live visuals coming from Acting Minister of Police Feroz Kachalia and Defence Minister Angie Motshekga addressing the media, saying plans are in place ahead of the June 30 demonstrations. Minister Kachalia cautioning against inciting violence and spreading propaganda ahead of the planned marches, saying assessments have been made, intelligence is on the ground, identifying emerging risk early. And of course, saying with great emphasis there, calling for peaceful protest, the SAPS rejecting attempts to exploit the legitimate process by bringing in criminal elements. Members instructed to discipline those carrying weapons or instruments which could be used as a weapon, and that will be an illegal activity. And of course, talking about an integrated operational plan spreading out across all 9 provinces, of course, ahead of the June 30th anticipated marches, saying the SANDF is being deployed at a cost of 600 million rand to ensure safety and secure infrastructure, and that, of course, it's a special operation. Minister Motshekga saying that they are there on standby and will come in and help police should the call arise. So some of the highlights there coming out of that address.